Hey ho. Wow, it's been another gap, and I apologise. Although I really just would be apologising to myself. I've let myself down. I've let my family down. I've let my team down. I've only got myself to blame. Blah de blah. Okay, so recap. It is Saturday, the 27th of June. So since my last upload, there has been Thursday the 25th, Friday the 26th. Today is Saturday the 27th. 3 days. So I failed you for the previous 2 days. Failed myself. Why did I do that? Well, Thursday was the hottest day of the year. 32 plus degrees. And I wasn't even in the hottest part of the country. So very unpleasant. So unpleasant, in fact, that you cannot do anything. Maybe it's the British part of me coming out to play, but when it's too hot, motivation just plummets. Really does. You can't. Your structure just falls to pieces because it's too hot. Being in this recording booth is awful on that day, because I actually went into this recording booth on Thursday because I was actually recording something quite trivial and fun for my friend. And I was only in here for about a minute or two, about 2-3 minutes maximum, right? I was sweating. I was absolute sweating. And even it's about 20, low 20 degrees at the moment. And it's still humid in here. So I need to work out, because obviously if I intend, sorry, I just squeezed my bicep because it was on camera. If I intend to do voice acting as even a part-time like job, even as supplementary income, right? I'm going to be in here a lot. So that means long hours, even when it's not even that hot, when it's just like a pretty chill spring or autumn day, not even in the summer, this space is going to get really hot, and I need to work a workaround, because air conditioning and fans obviously won't work in a recording booth when I've got microphones working, because it would just pick up a brrr in the background, which is awful. By the way, my hair is looking shocking because I've just washed it, and I let my hair air dry. I don't dry it with a hairdryer or with a towel or anything, because I'm trying to encourage the curls. Curly girl method, CG, look it up, CG method on Reddit. Curly hair activists, which means like the next 8 hours after I've washed my hair, it just looks really bad, and then basically it starts to look fuller and fuller the longer I leave it. God, I'm sweaty. I'm like I wasn't sweaty before I got in, and now I'm sweaty. Yeah, so we're talking about Thursday. We're talking about Thursday the 25th, right? Which was supposed to be the first day of me like really giving it all my routine. Basically, that didn't happen. It was a very slow day, very reminiscent of what I was like at the start of the month. Basically, not doing much, and my phone use skyrocketed. The past 2.5, 3 days, my phone use has absolutely skyrocketed, because it just falls to shit. You're lounging about, you can't even think productively, so you're just lying down. And I was just like, because freedom was deactivated on my phone, like I justified it because I was like, I'm not doing this in my room, ignoring the fact that my room was far too hot to be in anyway, because I was downstairs in front of a fan or whatever, or in the shade outside. I had my phone with me, and I was just cycling through Reddit and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and Reddit and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, and then Reddit and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, and then awful cycle that I couldn't get myself out of. And that just it has a snowball effect. When you dip into bad habits, they accumulate fast. Like, it's bad. And so Friday was worse, but Friday, weirdly, temperature-wise, was supposed to be a bit cooler, but it felt more humid. So unpleasant, to be honest, regarding Friday. And I got very little done Friday. I really did. Basically, it was just I used the temperature of the day to just as an excuse just to throw 48 hours down the fucking drain. And I realised my phone use was making me miserable. I was like, hang on a second. I'm nowhere near. I was nowhere near as this this tetchy and frustrated with myself like earlier in the week, when I was like at my supermarket job or doing this or doing whatever. I was like, as soon as my phone use, where I was doing like a huge amount of screen time, I was getting like my self-esteem was dropping fast. Not even because I was like looking at like Instagram models and being like, oh, why isn't my life like that? Not like in a comparative sense. It was more just like I was just angry with myself for doing it. But I couldn't get myself out of this. I couldn't pull myself out. The only thing that really saved me, to be honest, is in the evenings. What I was doing was, thank God, I'm keeping my phone charger downstairs because I'm like, well, I have to charge my phone. So I would go downstairs, come back upstairs, and then I would be screen free. Now, I love movies. That sounds like a bit of a side, what do you call it? A segue. Um, but bear with me. I am a movie fan, right? And during this whole lockdown, whilst I've been working at the supermarket and whilst I've been like preoccupied with certain things, I actually haven't been watching any movies. I was trying to think of the last movie I watched and I couldn't think of it. I think it was at the cinema, to be honest. I don't think it was on Netflix or Amazon Prime. I think it was at the cinema. Um, oh, what was it? I mean, I'm not gonna conjure it up now. So I was like, you know what? I really want to watch a movie. And because it's gonna be such a hot night tonight, I'm not gonna be able to fall asleep easily anyway. So windows wide open in my room, just letting the breeze blow in, fan full on. Just put some movies on in my room, and you know what? It felt great to watch some movies. Obviously, that's a dangerous habit because I was lying on my bed looking at a screen, even though it was a TV. That is screen time on the bed. And I think that just kind of paved the way for me to do a lot of screen time on my bed today, which supposedly I was breaking my own rule. But yeah, no, there was no supposedly about it. I was breaking my own rule regarding screen time on the bed, which is bad. I watched two movies Thursday night, Friday night, and they are linked by a theme in the fact that they are dance horror movies. Bear with me, I'm a bit of a horror fan, and I thought there's been two movies released in the same year, 2018, and they both bill themselves as dance horror movies. I'm not really a dance movie fan anyway, like Step Up and Step Up 3D and all of that. I was like, not really my style. I'm not really into musicals anyway. But I was like, I'm a horror fan, so I should really give these a go. And I heard good things about one of them. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. They're both streamable. The first one was Suspiria. It wasn't what I was expecting. There wasn't that much dancing in it. But when there were the dancing was good when it was on screen, but they actually made it horror worthy. There's a sequence about one third of the way through the film. It's a long film. It's 2.5 hours, by the way. But I actually quite like long films. Like I can just switch off and get into the world of the film. So I don't mind long run times. I think they're great. Um, Basically, it's set in late 1970s Germany. A lot of political stuff going on, and it's about a coven of witches running a dance school. Um, and the dance, the dances that they're learning themselves are like spells and curses. Like the actual movements of the actors required creates magic in a sense, but it's not light-hearted like magic like Harry Potter is. It's rather twisted, and it's actually I think the world building was really good. It fell down at the end, partly because the final sequence I think is very divisive anyway. They kind of go somewhere that they were alluding to, and I preferred it when they were just alluding to it. But once you actually see like, oh, okay, we're actually going here, like, okay, fine. It was, I would say, the first 1 hour and 45 minutes is really enjoyable. I think the ending, some people could probably like it. I would give it a 7 out of 10. It's very consistent in its tone. And you just wanted to know more about like what's going on. What are these witches up to? That sounded misogynistic, but they were literally witches, so I don't feel that bad. And yeah, I kind of liked the historical background and everything. It was a bit weird though, because I felt like they were reaching at some sort of socio-historical commentary. That doesn't really work. I like the setting. I liked Berlin 1977, by all means. Yeah, cool. Love it. I'm a history geek as well. But then I was like, why have they put this political commentary in the background of a coven of witches? It definitely fed into the story, but thematically, I was trying to think of like why a screenwriter or a director would do that. Um, I didn't work out how it elevated the piece in any sense, or except just to make it a little bit more unique. But yeah, no, I mean it was pretty cool. And then the one I watched last night, Friday night, was Climax. I don't think that's its actual name because it's a French film, but it's about basically a dance group. They're celebrating after like a trip, and they're in some sort of abandoned school or something, and they have like there's sangria on the table, and someone laces it with LSD, and basically it just gets worse and worse and worse. It had such potential. It's a good film. It is a good film, but I do recommend it. I'd actually probably give it the same rating, about 7 out of 10. Although it's way more experimental than Suspiria. I think if I had to pick one, I would say Climax is probably A, more unnerving, and B, it's more interesting as a piece of cinema. Suspiria is a little bit more, I would say, closer to classical Hollywood storytelling. This one definitely feels French. Yeah, any film nerds will kind of get that. It's not new wave, don't get me wrong, but it's like it definitely feels like it's not your standard Hollywood fanfare. Um, it has very long takes, and to its credit, apparently there was very little scripting. They just outlined basically the broad strokes of where people are going to end up, but the director said to the actors, "Hey, look, this is your baby as much as mine. This is what you're going to be doing in the scene, but all dialogue is up to you. All dialogue you can have. So play with it. And if you feel like your character's going to do this or that, then talk to me, talk to the other actors in the scene, see if it works. And if it does, then by all means keep it. Yeah, So it definitely felt really organic, considering the fact that many of the actors weren't actually professional actors; they were just dancers. Really good performances in there. Um, Cool. So sorry. Storage stuff. I'm just going to continue because I like talking about this. It was decent. I would say it actually kind of shot itself in the foot as it was going on, because it's only about 2/3 of the film that you realize, oh shit, bad things are like actually bad things are happening. This isn't just people getting worked up and getting a little bit hallucinogenic or whatever. Like irreversible like damage is being done to certain members of the group. And you think it's going to keep piling on and piling on and piling on, but it kind of runs out of steam. Actually, it's a bit frustrating because you're like, oh mate, with just a little bit of scripting, you could really have turned this something into like something horrifying. Like, don't get me wrong, bad shit happens to people in the film, but it's so like with just a little action here and a little action there, and things like interlacing with each other, it could have been way worse, because like there's people having an LSD trip, and like at least like half the group just has a bad trip, and like another, if you're unlucky to be on another half of the group, like awful shit happens to you. But I'm like, oh my god, it's probably more realistic in that sense, that shit doesn't go from 0 to 100. Like it has some reality in the sense that, look, not everyone's gonna have ABC done to them. Like people react differently to drugs, and different stuff's gonna happen to different people. But I was really like, oh shit, this is gonna really like snowball into something horrific. And then it just kind of remained a bit more grounded than I was expecting, which maybe I just had my like horror tendencies. I was like projecting what like my experience with horror movies was going to be like. I enjoyed both of them. I think Climax also has a much more friendly runtime. It's only 96 minutes, so just over an hour and a half. It feels longer than an hour and a half because of its long segments, especially the beginning. The beginning is just like a montage of interviews to the camera. Um, that I was loving, but it does go on for about 10 minutes. I feel like if you're much preferring like a conventional narrative, you might find that a bit frustrating to get into. But I loved it. Again, I feel like if you just scripted things a little bit more, like it could have been more memorable. It could have been more memorable. But definitely a good film. Definitely a good film. I would say watch the Climax, and if you enjoy Climax, which I watched on Netflix, I watched Suspiria on Amazon Prime. Oh, sorry, burped. If you enjoyed, um, if you enjoyed Climax, watch Suspiria, because Climax is easier to get into because of its runtime. I think Suspiria might leave you a little bit frustrated, that things are taking so long. Suspiria has a great I don't want to ruin it. I haven't actually ruined Climax. Do watch Climax. I try to remain vague. I'm just giving my general kind of thoughts on the film. Suspiria has a beautiful sequence in it about like a quarter or about a third in, and I was really hoping the film was going to be more like that because it was just fucking horrifying. There's an actress, her name is Olga in the film. I don't know who she's played by. Oh my god, I don't know if she's a contortionist in real life, but that sequence, whoever, like just me mentioning that, if anyone's seen the film, they'll know what scene I'm referring to. That sequence was fucking gold. I'm like, how is she doing that? Is she a contortionist? Because that's unbelievable. I should definitely research that and see where that was going. See how much more animated I am when I start talking about film. You know, maybe that's a clue for myself to. I mean, I think I prefer talking about films than making films, to be honest. Maybe I should get into like film reviews, film critique. It's definitely an idea I've visited in the past. But maybe get a little bit more academic. Maybe actually maybe a little bit more preparation. Know who the directors are. Know who the actors' names are. Know how it relates to its genre, its context, its filmmaking tendencies of the time. Know how it relates to the day of its release and what's it trying to have a commentary on, etc. How are like the film production methods? How methods? How are how talented is the cinematographer, etc. The editing, how does it all flow together? Are they doing something radical in the filmmaking department or just the storytelling department? Are they failing on both fronts, etc.? I'm hot. This is a hot recording booth. It's going to be fine in the winter. It's going to be fine in cold spring and autumn days. I don't know what's it going to be like in the summer. Anyway, this is supposed to be a self-improvement channel. I'm sorry for raveling on. Take a deep breath. So, the last 2 days were really disappointing. Do you know what? As soon as the heat started to dissipate, and today's been like low 20s, right? So, by all means, a nice day, but very overcast and a bit drizzly here and there. It was just, I felt way more productive. I felt like the day started badly because I had my phone on my bed, so terrible. I went downstairs, got my phone off charge, and brought it back upstairs. Terrible. It's because I went to bed really late because I was watching the film, and I woke up really late. If I wake up really late, it's almost like my brain says write off the entire morning. You've woken up at like 10, stay in bed for the next 2 hours, like awful. So, what was I saying? Yeah, I was just like, I didn't feel angry at myself for wasting the last 2 days because the heat is the heat, but I was just like, had a wave of motivation, like this is what I got to do and I actually want to do it. And I was like, well, fucking hell, capitalize on it. So just as that was happening, my brother wheeled me into helping him do some wallpaper stripping in his house. He's redoing his house, so I had to spend at least a couple of hours doing that. Then came home, sorted my dinner out for myself. Well, I had a shower because I was covered in like dust and shit, and I wanted to wash my hair anyway. And then, yeah, had dinner, walked the dogs, and here I am. In my routine I made the other day, I video myself. I do the vlogging after I come back from walking the dogs, and I think that's a pretty good trigger. I come back from walking the dogs. I've just had an hour or so of me walking in the woods without any distractions, so I'm alone with my thoughts, and then I can dive straight into Vloggermist and spurt a bunch of shit for 10, 20 minutes. And I think, considering the last 19 minutes, what this vlog has been like, how animated I am. Seriously, if you compare to like even a couple of videos ago, I was like, the energy is different. And I think it's because I've just come off the back of walking the dogs. I become a great person whilst I'm walking the dogs, and then I come home and put a screen in front of my face and become the exact fucking nemesis that I don't want to become. So what am I going to do? I am going to... I had this idea. I've had this idea on the back burner for a very long time. But then I quickly thought, well, why don't you just make one? I mean, you're not being productive for your fucking voice business. So why don't you actually? And I think it's kind of related to recording audio. So I love the idea of hypnosis and self-hypnosis. This is relevant, right? Because it's more so than meditation, where you're aware of your own thoughts. It builds on meditation, because for the hypnosis to work, they have to bring you to like a trance-like state, like a meditative state, and then you have a voice. I like. There's different types of hypnosis, right? This is about self-hypnosis, which you record and you listen on headphones to a track of a narrator or a hypnotist. But this is all for self-improvement, because of course when you're in this trance-like state, you can make yourself stop smoking, you can talk yourself into being more productive. Like when you're in a trance-like state, supposedly the suggestions of the narrator go into a deeper part of your brain, into your subconscious, and you mold it into part of your personality on a deeper level. It's not like someone else are like, be better, wake up early, what are you doing, stop smoking, work out more. It's not like that. It's supposed to put you in such a trance-like state that these suggestions actually embed themselves in your personality traits. So I've been obsessed with the idea, because it's like, that has unlimited potential. If you had a narrator talking to you, that narrator could really say anything. This is provided that you are the type of person that can be hypnotized. Of course, not everyone is suggestible. Not everyone is willing. I think to a degree you have to want to be hypnotized in order for hypnosis to work. If you're very resistant to the idea of hypnosis, you're just going to have a bad time. If you don't believe hypnosis works, you've got those mental barriers already that you're going to have to overcome in order for hypnosis to have its effect. I've dabbled in self-hypnosis using YouTube videos, even throughout my adolescence. I thought the idea was quite cool. It never really stuck, but then again, I never really revisited it. So the idea is make self-hypnosis part of my routine, especially in the mornings. Have breakfast, meditate, whatever, brush teeth, whatever needs to be done. And then I sit down, same time each morning after doing the previous action, so it becomes a habit. And then 10-15 minutes later, I come out of that hypnosis and I am just fucking primed. Like, I'm the ultimate me. I'm being productive. And there's this is terrible irony here. It's like, instead of just doing the work, you'd much rather write hypnosis scripts that tell you to do the work than actually do the work. But here's the thing. Even if I talk myself into having a really good productive day one day, I'm not consistent enough. I believe that I have the capacity and I have the mental acuity. I don't know, that's not a word. I have the ability to be, productive and great, but I don't have the consistency to bring me to that mental state every time. And I'm like, what if you made self-hypnosis part of your routine? And in this self-hypnosis, you almost create like an ultimate you. You create in this hypnosis script, like, it has all of your best personality traits. And you embed them slowly over time, and because it's part of your routine, you're listening to those tracks every day. And it will slowly you'll start to believe the things that it was said. And soon you will love doing boring, productive stuff anyway. You chase the boredom. You chase the stuff that feels uncomfortable. You don't feel the need to burrow yourself into screens and to be distracted on social media or consumption of media or anything like that. Like, you just love the boring stuff, because it's the boring stuff that is the people that stay on the regime. It's the people that stay on the program that they've made for themselves that ultimately get success. I mean, here's the thing about self-improvement, right? It doesn't matter what your process is. It doesn't matter like the program you've written for yourself, whether it's fitness or what habit or habits you want to break or habits you want to create. Like, regardless, if you just keep to a routine, or if you just keep to the program that you've made for yourself, by and large, it's going to be successful. It's really hard to write a program that hijacks you. Like it kind of, I can't think of the fucking word. It's difficult to think of a program that will like shoot you in the foot. Like, if you write a fitness program, as long as you keep to it, you're gonna see some change, right? If you keep to a diet program, it's gonna work to a degree, even if it's not written that well or it's not that well informed. It's gonna work to a degree because it's a different diet. You just have to keep to it. You don't have to read 100 books on the subject to know a vague idea of what you really should be doing, because let's be real. We all know what we should be doing with our time. We all know what to do. It's about getting over that mental hurdle. It's really a mind game. Everything's a fucking mind game. And I thought, well, if you make self-hypnosis part of your routine, eventually, even maybe sooner than you think, you're going to be adopting those tasks. And so here's what I'm going to do. It's Saturday night right now. Oh, it's about what? I would say maybe it's about night. I can't see the time whilst I'm recording, or can I? Yeah, I can. Oh my god, it's 9:20. I honestly thought it was like 8 o'clock. That's fucking scary. It's 9:20 at night. I honestly thought, like, I generally thought it wasn't past 8 o'clock. Fuck. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to be writing like an induction script. I know. By the way, I haven't done much research into this, and I think that's golden. I don't want to lose myself down the rabbit hole of I have to read everything about hypnosis before I make a hypnosis script. I'm like, fuck it. Find a good script and alter it for your own purposes. Like, you can work out the details later, and the more hypnosis tracks you make, hell, it might even actually just get better over time. You don't need to just jump into something. Instead of learning by reading and never doing, why don't you just learn by doing for once, you know? So I'm going to write a script tonight, and then I'll record it tomorrow. So by Monday the 29th of June, I'm gonna have a script that I can put in as my part of my morning routine after meditation, or even part of the meditation process. I then suddenly go into a 10-15 minute trance or a self-hypnosis. And this self-hypnosis can be a form of positive affirmation, but I really want it to hit somewhere deeper. Almost perhaps even create an alternate personality. I don't want to like create mental issues for myself, but create like this ideal self in my mind that I can easily conjure up with trigger words or like anchor words, where suddenly there's a trigger is said and I just become this ultimate version of myself. That would be pretty cool. It sounds pretty Fight Club. I get that. It sounds pretty Hollywood. I understand. It's probably not going to be as seductive as how I've just described it, but it'll definitely be fucking cool. If it was anything like that, where I embed some trigger words over the next coming weeks, and then suddenly all I need is like a 2-minute meditation session, and I'm there. I've reached that mental space again. I'm like, holy shit, I know what I got to do. My mind is clear. I do it. Like, you know, Limitless, Bradley Cooper from 2011. He basically takes a pill called NZT. It's a fictional drug. And he becomes basically the ultimate self, where the brain is working at 100%. By the way, that's a myth. There is no 100% of the brain. The brain does what it does. There is no, like, did you know humans only use 20% of their brain at any given time? It's like, that's fucking bollocks. It's just I don't know where it came from, but it's crap. Anyway, it's hot. I'm sorry for the heavy breathing. What was I saying? Yeah, Limitless. So it'll be like that. Can you imagine having this embedded like trigger word be so well developed, and I'll be so used to it that all I need is a little like 2-minute sound clip on my phone, headphones on, close my eyes, press play, whatever it is. 2 minutes later, I'm the fucking ultimate me. Just like as if I just taken like an NZT, and I'll be like, whoa, I know what I got to do, you know. That would be pretty cool, because I think there's nothing worse than just this uphill battle. You know what you have to do, but you just don't fucking do it, and you're trying to torture yourself, and you're trying to like you berate yourself. You get into this negative like criticizing yourself. I don't need that. I just need to be like, right. It'll almost be like having coffee, but better. Like, imagine a mental coffee. Imagine stimulants where it's like, whoa. Like, that would be really cool if hypnosis could do that. I'm talking pure fucking bollocks. This is pure fantasy. Anyway, this has gone on long enough. This was Saturday, the 27th of June. This is 27. I should definitely video myself after walking the dogs, you know, because I just become this talkative fuckwit. Have a good day. I don't expect you to have watched the whole 30 minutes. Oh well. Cheers.